Oh, hello. What's up, bitches? I think it's probably the 9th of November by now, 2017, and this is Fake News Northwest, and I am Jezebel. So it seems like they're starting to put it together with the pedophiles and the Illuminati and the powers that be. It is much bigger than anybody could imagine. And I have something I'd like to add, just for measure of scope. I started dancing when I was 19 years old. And I did a little survey myself, and it was ongoing throughout my career, all over the country, Alaska, Nevada, Idaho, Oregon, Washington, California, Montana. Anyway, 98% of all the strippers that I talked to had been sexually abused or molested at some point in their life, before they became dancers. I thought that was interesting because they chose that path and almost in a sense to take that power back. When you're raised in that kind of lifestyle, you don't realize that it's not normal until you talk to someone who isn't being molested or hasn't been molested. And it does something to you whether or not you work through it or accept it or whatever. It's going to affect you. Children learn what they live, and a lot of times the abused becomes the abuser. In the case of the dancers that I spoke with, they chose to empower themselves in that area so that they couldn't be victimized anymore or seem to have control over that, power over that now. So I think that whether or not Corey Feldman, I'm sure he probably was. He looks like the type that, would go out there and do whatever it took to, to make it or get high or whatever. Anyway, that's the problem with all of the entertainment industry, is that it's always, you have everything there available to you at your will. At your whim, you can have access to the greatest drugs, sex, rock and roll. So, that's the entertainment business. So, the problem with that is that you can be consumed by that pretty easily, if you have a weak character. So, I would like to know, who hasn't been molested, or sexually assaulted at least once in their life. The question is, are you going to use that to empower yourself, or are you going to use that as an excuse to be the abuser, and continue that pattern? So I just think we really need to keep perspective about who the victims are and who is just using that role to maybe not be fingered as the abuser or a contributor of the abuse. So while you know, they're going to be scattering. I'm sure they're going to scatter like, I don't even know, it's stupid. But let me tell you something about that. I never pointed the finger at my abuser. I never needed that vindication. All I needed to do was become an adult and look them in the eyes. And, you know, there was nothing like that feeling when I could tell, just looking them in the eyes, that they were terrified of me. And I was glad, because they should be. I'm not a vindictive person. I'm very forgiving. And sometimes that's all you need. So, are we going to use this as an excuse to continue the patterns of abuse? Or are we going to use it to empower us, to show the power of forgiveness and love and abundance, so that we can rise above it and find that peace within ourselves? Anyway, those are my thoughts on it, and I hope it wasn't too boring for you, but I really felt that that needed to be said, and the healing needs to start from within, and forgiveness is the key. So it's the hardest thing for anybody on this planet to do, is to forgive someone else for their transgressions, but Jesus died for our sins, and if he can forgive us, then who are we to not forgive them? Peace out, bitches. Think about it. Might save your soul.